Evergreen Heart. By Opprian. Chapter 16. Stone walls do not a prison make. Day 1. So, have you given any thought as to what you're gonna do when you get out of here? Asked Sunny Spring. Not really, it's such a long way off I don't really see the point. But there is one promise I made that I intend to keep. I replied. What's that? To visit a friend, and hopefully make some new ones. As good a place to start as any I suppose. She said. We both lapsed into silence. These next couple of months were gonna suck. I just knew it. Day 5. I'll see you're 10, and raise you another 20. I said as I tossed my chips onto the pile. Playing through a set of iron bars would be uncomfortable for most beings, but thanks to my unique physiology I could just make my arms longer and more flexible to allow me to easily reach everything and enjoy the game. I see that. Shining said and added his own chips. I'm in too. Said Sunny Spring as more chips joined the pile. So, what's it like being a walking talking cactus? Rainy Day asked out of the blue. The other occupants of the table face-hoofed. What? A pony can ask, can't he? And you wonder why you never get any of the more delicate assignments, Mr. Subtle. Sunny said with exasperation. Fine, I'll be more subtle. So what's it like? Sunny slammed her face into the table with a loud thunk. Go ahead and ignore this idiot. You're not offended, are you? Shining asked. I shook my head. Nah, not really. I'm just not sure how to answer that. I mean, that's the same as asking, say, a griffin what it's like to be a griffin. How can you answer what it feels like to be something when it's all you know? Ah, but it's not now, is it? I heard you weren't always a rosebush. Said Rainy. More face-hoofing occurred. I took a moment to gather my thoughts. It had been a while since I had really contemplated my existence. Well, if I were to compare it to what I used to be, there's a few cool upsides, but a lot of downsides too. For example, I can't eat regular food. I don't know if I can drink alcohol, I mean that stuff's not exactly good for plants, depending on the type of alcohol anyway. There's a lot of different types including but not limited to methanol, ethanol, and isopropyl alcohol. You sound almost like my sister. Shining Armor said. Isn't she a grade A nerd, Captain? Rainy Day said. Shining gave him a death glare. So what else is different? Asked Sunny Spring. Well, things don't look or sound or even smell the same. Heck, I can't even smell things really. All I get is a sort of vague approximation and I'm not even sure how that works since I have no nose or other recognizable olfactory organs that I'm aware of. Sounds like you got a raw deal. Sunny said softly. Can you still get laid? Rainy asked. Say what? I said blankly. You heard me. I don't exactly have the right equipment for such activity right now. I said with such deadpan delivery it should have won a freakin' award. Yikes, that's rough. Said Shining with a light blush on his muzzle. He looked about as uncomfortable as I felt about the direction the conversation had taken. I dunno, you got all those vines and stuff. Some mares are into that junk. Rainy Day said. What do I look like, a tentacle monster? I said with just a modicum of outrage. Besides, no offense to you ponies, but as adorable and cute as some of you are, I am so not into having that sort of relationship with an equine. We sat there in awkward silence for a bit, staring at our cards. What if they paid you for it? Rainy Day deadpanned. I think that's when Sunny broke the table with her face, spraying cards and chips everywhere. Suffice to say that round was a bust. Day 7. Word down the grapevine is they arrested over 3 dozen ponies from several cities across Equestria. All of them nightmare cultists. They even found 2 of them hiding out all the way in Appaloosa. All of them are being brought to Manhattan Penitentiary. According to Shining, it's the single biggest operation the Guard has undertaken in over 100 years. That kinda drives home just how peaceful Equestria really is. The guard usually do little more than keep an eye out for stray pets and the occasional drunken brawl during cider season. Day 9. All of them are dead. All the nightmare cultists they rounded up died last night. Poisoned. They still don't know if it was a ritual suicide, or someone trying to get rid of them all. They don't even know how they managed to get their hands on that much poison. A few hooves were pointed at Luna, claiming she was trying to clean up an embarrassment as they called it. Others claim it was Celestia taking revenge on the cultists. Both stories sound like total bullshit to me. But this whole situation leaves a lot of unanswered questions. Shining said they are investigating, but likely not a lot will come from it. According to him they have absolutely no leads, no suspects, nothing. Day 18. Wheel, a strange thing happened the other night, you won't believe it but I swear it's true. Harry the hairy ape made his escape from the city zoo. For Celestia's sake, Aaron, would you stop singing that insipid song? You've been singing it over and over for the past hour, Sunny Spring said through gnashing teeth. Well, what else am I supposed to do in here all day? I have been experimenting with my voice. Since I am no longer bound by the limitations of a human larynx and vocal cords, I decided to give singing another try. I used to be absolutely rubbish at it back home. Often being accused of being incapable of carrying a tune in a bucket. Well, I was determined to change that. With a bit of magic and a lot more effort, I could actually produce a voice that didn't sound like a dozen crows choking and barfing all at once. It took a lot of repeat performances to get the nuances right though. I could even warp my voice in such a way that I sounded like a woman. That still felt extremely weird though. And I was still unable to shake what I have come to call the Protoss effect. My voice always has a bit of an ethereal echo quality to it no matter what I try. Just sing something else for a change, she said. But all the other songs I know are sang by women, I mean mares. This is the only song I know that's sung by a stallion. I argued. Okay, that's not technically true, I know lots of other songs by male singers, but none that I could accurately remember the lyrics to right then. Besides, I was deliberately messing with her, boredom turns me into a jerk at times. I don't care, anything's gotta be better than that song, she said with a groan. Well. Okay, just remember, you asked for this. I said with a smirk in my voice as I began to sing anew. My little pony, what is friendship all about? My little pony, friendship is magic. Sunny Spring's eye twitched. My little pony, I used to wonder what friendship could be. My little pony, until you all shared its magic with me. When I was young I was too busy to make any friends. Such silliness did not seem worth the effort it expends. But my little ponies, you opened up my eyes and now the truth is crystal clear, as splendid summer skies. And it's such a wonderful surprise. 10 minutes later Sunny Spring ran screaming out the guard room, swearing eternal vengeance against me. The rest of the day she had the Friendship is Magic theme song stuck in her head. Day 24. Alright, I'll be good. Now please take the blanket off the window. I swear I'm starting to wilt without sunlight. Told you I would get revenge. Sunny Spring said as she pulled the blanket away from the room's only window to let the precious sunlight back in. She had put up a thick blanket 2 days ago in order to block out the sun, as a way of getting back at me. You are a cruel, cruel mistress. One day you will make a kinky stallion very happy. I could still put this back, you know. She said with a glare. Shutting up. Day 33. I will match your 50, and add another 50 on top. Said Rainy Day. Well, someone's got himself a good hoof. Shining grunted while he glared at his own cards. I will meet your bet and add 100 on top. I said. Rainy stared at my face. Darn it, I can never tell if you're bluffing or not with that side table you call a face. You're just jealous because I'm prettier than you. Now are you in or do you fold? He glared at me with indecision. I'm not gonna let you get the better of me. I raise. Well, I'm out, said Shining. I stared at my cards, then relented. Fine, I fold. Yes. Rainy exclaimed. Hold it, Slick, I'm still in, and I call. Sunny Spring said. Fine, 2 pair. Aces and princesses. He said as he laid his cards out. Well then, read 'em and weep. Royal Flush. Don Yabbit. Day 40. There really wasn't much of anything for me to do when Shiny, Sunny, and Rainy were off duty. The other guards are all a bunch of stiffs. So to fill my time I began to experiment with my powers, trying to find new ways to utilize them. I've also started to try and grow a more defined face. One that isn't a blank mask, and capable of expressing emotion. Progress is slow since I have to use my energy sparingly. While they provided me a cell with a window to let some sunlight in, it's not exactly enough to last me for extended periods of extensive and intense magic use. Well, no matter, I will make do. Day 66. I've done it. I finally managed to detach a part of myself and keep it alive. Previously when I did this I had to reattach it after about half an hour or its magic would run out and it would wither and die. But now I could sustain it almost indefinitely. The trick was keeping an ethereal connection to whatever I detached. Think of it like a fishing line or extension cord made of magic. I detached one of my fly traps and lay it on the ground. After focusing my magic on it, the bulbous head sprouted several tendril-like vines to use as legs. Now I had to focus my consciousness on it. It felt strange, not quite like being in 2 places at once, more like letting your mind wander as if you were daydreaming. My vision shifted perspectives and I found myself closer to the floor. I was seeing through the fly trap now. Its senses were much weaker than those of my full body. Likely due to the absence of my core. It's like walking around with blinders on. But no matter. I was way too excited to let such a minor inconvenience stop me. With a bit of effort I began to direct the little bulb out of the cell. I had to test the limit of my ability to control this thing over distance. I slowly waddled it up to the wall directly below the window. Now how to get up there? An idea struck me and I sent some more magic its way. Another long thin vine began to grow, slithering along the wall until it reached the iron bars. Then, with a bit of effort I had the drone seedling. Ah, what the heck, I shall call these little remote bell sprouts, just for my own amusement. I had the bell sprout pull itself up and out the window. The window led into one of the inner courtyards. I looked around and picked a direction at random to start crawling like a bizarre squid. Eventually I managed to find one of the palace gardens. The walls here were lower to let in as much sunshine as possible and I had the little sprout bask in it for a moment, enjoying its life-giving energy. I sat there soaking for maybe half an hour before I decided to move on. Just as I turned around to move along there was a scream behind me. Ah! Spider, giant spider! One of the palace maids had spotted me and mistaken my little bell sprout for a giant spider apparently. I suppose that its bulbous little body and the numerous little vines it uses to crawl around do give it a spider-like shape from a distance. She dashed off at breakneck speeds, shrieking all the while. I decided I had explored enough for one afternoon. Day 67. Apparently the staff is turning the castle upside down looking for a giant spider nest. One of the maids saw one in the gardens yesterday. Big as her hoof, she said. I hope they find the nest soon before they become a problem. Rainy Day said to Sunny Spring. Are giant spiders a common problem? I asked as casually as I could. Not really. But sometimes 1 or 2 accidentally slip in with shipments of exotic fruit from the Griffin Empire. If they aren't exterminated quickly they can multiply like crazy. Sunny answered. They aren't deadly, are they? Nah, but they make webs everywhere. And I do mean everywhere. Last time it happened I even had one in my helmet. Spider silk is murder to get out of your mane, said Rainy. You do realize you sound like some prissy mare when you talk like that, don't you? I do not. He exclaimed while Sunny burst into snickers. Conversation died down after that, and soon enough it was lunchtime. Sunny and Rainy were sitting at their little table eating sandwiches. That's when I decided to have a little fun. Out of sight from them I created a new bell sprout and with a single, thin vine raised it up all the way to the rafters. Taking control of the little guy, I had it crawl along the beam until it was right above the two of them. I took aim for Rainy Day's head and fell forward off the beam. My aim was impeccable. The little bell sprout landed right in Rainy's mane. He let out the most high-pitched shriek I've ever heard, flailing his hooves around his own head. Spider! Get it off me! He was so startled that he launched his half-eaten sandwich right into Sunny's face, sending her careening backwards out of her chair with a thud. I lost it. If I still had to breathe, I would have been in trouble because I was laughing so hard. I was laughing. The realization of it struck me like a thunderbolt. I was actually laughing out loud for the first time since being reborn in this body. I still don't understand why I couldn't before. Or even if it was a physical limitation or some kind of mental blockade. But right then I didn't care one way or the other. To be able to laugh again was one of the greatest feelings possible. It took me a good minute or two to regain control. That's when I noticed the two angry ponies standing in front of my cell shooting death glares at me. Aaron, you have some splainin' to do. They said in unison. Totally worth it. Day 73. Autumn started last week. I didn't really notice until now. It makes me feel a little sad because I'm missing out on some fun times while I'm in here. Cider season, the running of the leaves. I apparently also missed the Parasprite incident. Darn shame. Just thinking about those made me hungry. I did receive a visit from Zekora and, surprisingly, Starhorn the other day. Apparently those two get on like a house on fire. Sure as heck surprised me. Things have been looking up for Zekora. The town has more or less accepted her. The fact that she's often in Starhorn's company certainly helps. Zekora would have brought the Crusaders along for her visit too, but apparently the girls weren't allowed to come, which is a shame. I really like those little fillies. Which is still very odd to me since I can barely stand to be in the same room as human children. Don't get me wrong, it's not as if I hate them or anything. I just don't know how to handle them. It's awkward. And I'm done talking about this. Day 114. It was late afternoon when Shining entered the guard room. Rainy and Sunny gave him a half-hearted salute as he motioned them over. When it was just the four of us, Shining didn't stand on procedure and decorum as much anymore. Hey Aaron, got a sec? Oh, I don't know, I might have to check my schedule. What do you think? He just stared at me blankly. Alright, what's up? I was thinking we should try something a bit more lasting than card games, since you know, you'll be here a while. Said Shining Armor. And what exactly did you have in mind? I asked from my bunk. This he said as he pulled out a stack of books. Caverns and Critters. Said Sunny Spring. Wait, is this the role-playing game? I've always wanted to try this but my lame brother and his friends never let me join cause, you know, girl and all. We have a game like this in my world, but we call it Dungeons and Dragons. Heck, I'm in, it's not like I'm going anywhere. Dungeons and Dragons? Sounds like a cheap smut novel. Sunny snickered. You guys are such a flock of nerds. Rainy Day said. I know for a fact you played this game in school, Buster, so shut up and make a character. Sunny Spring told him. If one of us is going to be the GM, it will be very tricky to play with a party of just 3. Not to worry, said Shining, I know 2 other guards who play the game. I can add them to the duty roster for prison guard duty. One of them is a great GM. Well then there's just one more thing to do. I said. What's that? Shining asked. Dibs. Not cleric. I shouted. Not cleric! Shouted Shining. Not cleric! Sunny Spring called. Ah, you guys suck! Rainy Day grouched. So we got to work making some characters. Shining even brought pre-printed character sheets for us to fill out. He's such a lovable nerd under all that military decorum. Hey Aaron, I think you're in this book, said Sunny Spring as she flipped through the critter manual. Was my elegant and cultured response. Right here, she said, pointing at a creature entry with her hoof. Dire shrubbery. Rainy Day said before he collapsed laughing. The others joining him a second later. You can all kiss my grassy plot. I snorted as their laughter intensified. Day 122. I've begun to send out some more bell sprouts. Instead of controlling these, however, I've given them a preset task. Go out, find some seeds or fruits, and bring them back. I want to see how complicated a task they can do on their own. So far I've sent out 5 as a test run. If it goes well, I'm considering sending out more. I want to collect as many different seeds as I can before winter sets in order to try a few experiments. Day 124. My bell sprouts finally returned today. Not only did they succeed in their mission, but after being out in the sun for 2 days, reattaching them gave me a massive energy kick. These little guys are like mobile solar batteries. They all brought me something too. A nice diverse collection of herb seeds, some cherries, an apple, and a frog. I'm guessing that last sprout is a smidge retarded or something. What am I supposed to do with this thing? After a moment of contemplation, I decide to eat the frog, after making sure none of the guards were looking my way. The darn thing tasted like sour candy. Guess I won't be doing that again. I much prefer the fruity Skittle flavor of Para Sprites. Why the hell does everything I eat taste like candy anyway? More questions that can apparently only be explained as magical shenanigans. Anyways, now that I have some seeds, I can start experimenting. Day 131. My little pony, my little pony. Sing it and I will set you on fire. Sunny Spring growled. Whoa there Nelly, let's not get crazy here. You done singing that song? Fine, I'll sing something else, no need to get your knickers in a twist. I said sarcastically. What the buck are knickers? Oh right, you equines have no concept of underwear. You are such a weirdo. From where I'm standing, you ponies are the odd ones. I said while putting some seeds into a pot full of soil. I had requested a few flower pots and soil samples in order to try a few experiments with growing herbs and flowers. I was given permission to have those in my cell, provided I tried nothing dangerous. Which I really had no intention of doing. With the seeds now buried, I held one of my hands above the pot and began to channel my magic through it. I could feel the seeds in the soil, and inside them the tiniest motes of life, waiting for just the right stimulus to set them on the path towards their full potential. I wonder if this is what earth ponies feel when they work the land. Locking onto that tiny mote of life, I gave it the gentlest nudge with my magic. Lo and behold, a tiny seedling sprouted from the soil almost instantly. Like watching a time-lapse recording. I channeled just a bit more power through my hand and the tiny seedling actually grew another inch. Gently curving towards my hand as if seeking me out like it would the sunlight. Eat your heart out, poison ivy. How did you do that? Sunny Spring suddenly asked, snapping me back to reality. I gave her a shrug. I don't really know. I just do it. Day 150. You enter the room and are confronted by a pair of Wendigos. Roll for initiative, said Stout Shield RGM. He was one of the guard ponies Shining had brought in to fill out our Caverns and Critters group. Like Shining had said, he was indeed a pretty good GM. He ran a pretty cool campaign with just the right mixture of action and adventure, and plenty of role-playing opportunity. We all rolled for initiative and the clatter of dice filled the room. Holy Scripture starts casting mass protection from cold, said Rainy Day. Good call, said Shining Armor, my paladin, the mighty silver shield will take a defensive stance to protect him while he casts. Rosethorn will ready her crossbow," said Sunny Spring, who was playing a ranger. "And what of your mage, Aaron? What will Greybeard the Sparkly do?" "First up I cast Quickened Invocation, followed by Summon Legendary Creature." "What? You can't do that," Stout said. "I took the epic spell feat last level. I can cast one epic level spell, once per day, provided I have a one-use mana stone. And as you recall, I got one from that treasure chest we looted last session." "He's right, it's in the player's hoofbook, page 56. Said Shining as he leafed through said book. "Okay, so what are you summoning?" "I summon the legendary dragon, Trogdor the Burninator, to lay waste to these Wendigos with his fire breath of burnination." I rolled the dice with a flourish while the rest of the party face-hoofed at my theatrics. Critical fumble. "Your spell still works, but the summoned creature goes on a rampage, attacking friend and foe alike. Everyone roll me some saves versus fire breath with a -10 modifier." Stout Shield said. Our entire party was burned to a crisp. The silence that followed was deafening. "In the future you are so banned from playing mages," Shining Armor told me. Day 152. Winter has officially begun. I can spot the occasional Pegasi moving snow clouds around. More importantly, my body is growing sluggish because the sun's rays have weakened. If I want to keep my power levels up during the season, I will have to consider other sources of nutrients. With no access to parasprites, that leaves me precious few choices. I suppose I could eat the critters living in the palace gardens. I'm not so sure ponies would approve though. Especially a certain yellow Pegasus, if she found out. I had to find something to eat. I created a dozen bell sprouts and sent them scurrying off in all directions. I kept only a casual eye on them as they roamed around the palace and the city. Until one of them happened upon a nest full of rats. Not my first choice, but I needed the nutrients. With a burst of magic I evolved the bell sprout to be able to spray a paralyzing toxin and to create grasping vines. Soon enough it returned with a trio of plump rats stored safely inside its own bulbous body. One bell sprout got mangled by a cat and didn't return. Another fell into the freezing water of the palace moat and died. A third fell off the edge of the city and plummeted to its doom below the mountain. The rest returned with more rats and a couple of mice. I can tell you right now that neither one tastes very good. Rats taste like stale candy corn, and mice are kinda chalky. I swear my sense of taste is completely fucked up. But at least it's nourishment. Day 166. Morning guys. I greeted Sunny and Rainy as they relieved the night shift. "What's with the goods?" Sunny was carrying a cake box on her back while Rainy had a small keg on his. "It's the captain's birthday today, so we brought cake and some hard cider to celebrate later." "Wait, it's his birthday and he didn't take the day off?" "Nah," Sunny said with a wave of her hoof, "Shining doesn't like to make a big deal out of it, so he goes to work as normal. But I'm sure his folks have a surprise party planned for after his shift ends." "They usually do. Won't he object to you guys bringing alcohol in here during your shift?" "Nah, it's all good." Later that evening Shining Armor came by. Sunny and Rainy yelled surprise and presented him with the cake and cider. Then they sang him happy birthday. I even joined in with the singing. Shining looked slightly embarrassed. As they sat down for cake and drinks, Shining suddenly called out to me. "Hey Aaron, you wanna try some cider?" "I don't know. I have no idea what will happen. It's just the one, what's the worst that could happen, right?" Rainy Day said. "Please don't jinx it. It will be fine, give it a try," Shining said as he passed me a mug. I carefully sank my fingers into the cider and drank it. It felt like fire was shooting through me. The same as when you take a shot of spirits. A good burn. Some of the leaves on my body wilted and fell out, but I felt such a buzz. That stuff's good." I slurred. "Aw shit man, I'm drunk. How's that possible?" I only had the one. Whoa, looks like someone can't handle their liquor very well. Shining said. Ha! If I had my old body I would drink you under th table, shiny butt. I said, pointing at him accusingly with a limp hand. I swayed on my legs and then I fell over. According to Sunny, I spent the rest of the evening on the floor, twitching and giggling like a fool anytime any of them came near me. Guess alcohol is out for me. Day 174. I learned something new today. I can somehow recreate any plant I've been in contact with. Apparently magic has a memory or something. I wonder if I will ever properly figure it out. Anyway, it happened when I ran out of shimmerweed seeds. It's a herb that, when properly ground and added to a potion, provides great pain relief. I had been growing a bunch with the intent to ask Shining Armor to have them sent to Zakora, but the cold weather has killed them off. I became rather frustrated with the situation, and then my magic flared up and I began to grow the plants from my very body, complete with seeds to harvest. I then tried to do the same with other plants. But it only works with plants I've had contact with. So I can't spontaneously start growing stuff like ice irises or anything. Still, this has potential. Day 181. Happy hearts warming. Shining Armor said as he came by. Hello Shining. Happy hearts warming. I replied. My sister asked me to pass this along to you. He said as he handed me a thick envelope. Thanks. I stammered. I did not expect that. After Shining left I opened the envelope. There was a pair of photos in there. The paper was thick and glossy. The first picture showed Zakora and Starhorn, standing in front of a big Christmas tree in the town square. On the back was a little rhyme that wished me a happy hearts warming. The second picture was from the Crusaders, showing Applebloom, Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle standing in front of the tree in their school. More well wishes were written on the back in 3 distinct styles. Sweetie Belle's writing was curly and neat. Applebloom's was more practical, lacking any fancy curls and curves. Scootaloo's writing was, well, rough, like hastily jotted down with minimal effort. I guess it shouldn't come as a surprise with such an energetic little filly. I smile at the 2 pictures, before I stuck them to the wall of my cell with a bit of sticky sap. Happy hearts warming. Day 195. Today is winter wrap-up. Apparently the winter this year was shortened by 2 whole weeks because there have been a few harvest failures. To keep ponies from starving they decided to start spring early so planting could begin right away. I really can't complain. The sun returning to its full strength is giving me a much-needed pick-me-up. Good. Now I won't have to eat rats and mice anymore. Day 202. You know, when you get released you could always start a business. Sunny Spring said to me as I placed some more seeds into the latest addition to my little cell garden. With your powers you could grow anything a pony could ever need. I guess they are good for something. But what would I do with the bits? I don't exactly need to buy food or clothes or anything like it. What about a house? She opted. I paused to think about it. I guess, just need to find the right place to buy or build one. One thing I know for sure though is that I won't be living in Canterlot. Too many snob ponies and nobles for my liking. Well, I can't argue with you on that point. She says. Did they ever find out how those cultists managed to get their hands on that poison? I'm afraid not. And afterwards ponies seem to have forgotten all about it. Out of sight out of mind. Hey. Rainy day cut in. Yeah, that's a tactic that never comes back to bite you in the ass later. I still can't shake the feeling like we're missing a vital piece of the puzzle here. I hate being left with more questions than answers. Day 212. No pony came in to relieve the night shift. Sunny and Rainy stepped out to see what was keeping their replacements and haven't returned. I've been sitting here alone for the past 2 hours. I decided to send a bellsprout to the window. Maybe I could learn something by listening in on the palace staff. Controlling these little guys is getting easier all the time. It's like flexing a muscle. With a little flourish the Bellsprout shot a vine up to the bars and rappelled up like a flowery little Batman. Or bat spider, since they still look all spidery from a distance. Anyway, with a jolt of magic I slipped my mind into the little guy and crawled outside. That's odd. It's raining chocolate milk, why is it raining cho? Oh shit.